Hello everyone, this video is going to be about using images and sketching on top of them. So to use an image, you digitize a pattern or something that you're looking at. We in Embroiderware have several different options for that as far as the image type. So if you click image, you will get a window that will pop up and you can choose anywhere from bitmaps, JPEGs to PNGs. I happen to have a PNG in here that I'm going to open called Rose. And once you do that, the instructions say click where the image should go. So we can always move it once we put it in. We're just going to click it in here. And there's the rose. You can see the rose is rather big here, so we could make it smaller. And it's going to be probably hard to select it because we don't have actually the lines. So an image is basically a line graphic. We just place that on the line graphic and then the image is there. It's just the way it's done. It's might change in the future. But to change the graphic, you can do just the other operations that you normally have. So if you wanted to scale using 2 points, you just select 2 points. And you can scale the image down to what we're going to do. So we're going to make it a reasonable size for this. And we're going to move it to the position we want, let's say. So this is approximately fitting in my hoop. So now that we have the image, this image happened to have transparent layers in it so you can see through the pixels. We can change the opacity. If you notice in the Project Explorer, Graphic Explorer, we have basically just two options for this image. We have the ID, which is the first graphic object, and then we have the opacity. If we change that to a decimal value, you'll notice that it'll change how opaque the image is. And this is useful when you start drawing because sometimes the image is just overpowering what you're doing. Obviously 0.1 is too small for what we want to do. Okay, now we can start digitizing the leaf. So we're just going to do a combination of lines and curves. I'm going to start with a line, in this case leaf in here, and I'm going to switch the curve by hitting the right mouse button where I could switch the curve. And I'm going to type control points and end points, switch to line, switch to curve, control point, end point, switch to line, switch to curve, control point, end point, switch to line, switch to curve, control point, end point, and I'll just continue drawing here. I'm going to keep it at switch to curve because I just want to do curve here, and then line, curve, line, curve, line, curve, line. And I will just stop here. Actually, I decided this is a good opportunity. I didn't finish the leaf. This is a good opportunity for us to kind of say, oh gosh, we didn't really finish what we were doing, and so let's continue. So in the curve menu, we have all these new functions here about adding lines and curves. So what we can do is we just can continue drawing. So we're going to do a curve again. So we're just going to do a curve after. So what we're doing is we're doing a curve after this point. And right now, the curve, the actual control points don't get set, just the end points. But we could just keep on going through this object, and we can put these in here. And so, you know, if we hit the end button and we wanted to continue drawing, we could. So that's what we're doing here. I'm putting curves on all these. And actually, this is kind of a neat feature now that I think of it. I haven't really actually used this that much because it's new in the new version. This might be a faster way to digitize anyway because we just laid down a bunch of curves here and now we can go ahead and modify them, which might be better because when you're digitizing the curves originally, the Bezier points don't really fall on the lines. They're mathematical points. And look at Bezier up on the Google and you will find out what exactly it is. It's a complicated polynomial expression I know that's getting very engineering geeky here, but so these points really don't lie on the curve is what I'm trying to get at. So you can pull them wherever you need to be to get on the curves. So they end up being a very good graphic type because they have a lot of flexibility. Now you can notice that this leaf is kind of not great looking because it's just an outline right now, and it's set to single stitches of a relatively normal length, but since it's such a small thing, and probably you wouldn't make your graphic this small. But for the example, I'm just going to show you how you would digitize using images. So we have pretty much digitized the leaf. Now, we don't want it to be a single stitch in this case. We want it to be a fill. So we'll just change it to fill. And then we're going to set the fill pattern. It defaults automatically, should default automatically to the default fill pattern. If you have a location that you have a different pattern you want, if there is no file path, it's going to end up being fill pattern of the default. And fill patterns here, you can see that it has the whole path of where it goes. So if you only make your own fill pattern, you're going to want to define, you're going to want to put a location in there. So that's probably too much information. But anyway, so we have our leaf. Let's make it 45 degrees because usually that's better to bias it across the fabric. It might go into the valley of one of the weave paths, and you don't want that necessarily. So we have a leaf. And the next step that you would do is you would do some section ordering. There's a lot of sections in here. Sometimes the sections are best ordered. Yeah. But anyway, so we have section ordering. I'm not going to go into section ordering now because there's a whole video about that. But you can kind of see how we digitize using an image.